how things are being done in the white Afrikaner town of Orania and whether they are under lockdown. Let's get the very latest now and bring in Reginald Witbooi, who's standing by. Reginald, a very good morning to you. What are you witnessing there this morning?
Well, a very good morning to you, Blaine. Yes, we are here in Orania, the white Afrikaner enclaved town here in the Northern Cape, with residents standing at about 2,000 here in this enclaved town, and many people yearly still want to come here and to be placed here and to live in this white enclaved Afrikaner town. Now we know, if I can just, if you would allow me to give you a little background, this town was established in 1991, a year after the late former President Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was released from prison, and then also 3 years before South Africans went to cast their votes for a newly democrated South Africa. Now, what we know about this town, that they are running things on their own. They even have their own currency, which is called the Aura, and it's pegged on par with the South African currency, which is the rand. And are they experiencing lockdown at this moment, while we as South Africans are being put under extreme measures by the South African government? Let's find out from the head of the Orania movement, Joost Strydom. A very good morning to you, Joost. Before we even delve into the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown, many people are still asking about Orania and whether black and coloured people, whether they are allowed to move freely or to come and live even here in Orania.
Yes, Reginald, thank you very much. And I think it's not a new question. It's one that we've answered a lot of times. Orania is and stays the way that it always was, and that is that it's an Afrikaner town. It's a community for Afrikaners. It's built by Afrikaners, Afrikaner labour here. We only make use of our own labour to build our town and expand our community and so on. Referring back to what you said about what happened in the 90s, the Orania idea, of course, much older than what happened in the early 90s. We bought the town in 91, but the Orania idea is it's much older than that. Even in the early 70s, the Orania idea was already active in people's mind. The ideology of Afrikaners looking after themselves and taking responsibility for themselves.
Right. If we can get to the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown that we are currently experiencing as South Africans, how are things being done here? Are you experiencing lockdown? How are things in this enclave town?
Reginald, yes. The first thing is that we are taking responsibility for our community. We want to keep our people safe. It's a first priority for us. And with that in mind, in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, we went ahead and we established the NOS, Emergency Operational Center, with medical personnel, experts from security industry, and leaders from the town, to look after our citizens, not only in terms of the virus risks, but also in terms of what we're experiencing as the possibilities of hunger in South Africa, making sure we have food reserves and our people are safe and economically active.
You touched on the economy, and we know that Orania is not dependent on the South African government, and the economy specifically during this time is struggling. How's your economy doing?
Well, I'm going to refer back to the beginning when I said responsibility was a key factor for us. And responsibility, if you look at the virus, it's important to be responsible towards that. But the economy can also cost lives in terms of hunger and so on. So what we did in Orania is we stayed inside the rules of the lockdown, but we also kept innovating. We got multiple people making masks, multiple industries, factories being put up, small factories producing medical grade masks made in Orania that we're going to export from Orania as well. getting our people to work in terms of things that are responsible economically and also regarding to the virus, so that we keep social distancing and keep all the necessary measures, but get our people working. It's very important. Also the agricultural sector, which is very big here in the area, very important for us as Oranians as well. It's a sector that's been excluded from the lockdown. Doesn't mean you can do what you want. We need to be socially responsible, but we got our people working on farms, keeping social distance and producing food for the nation. It's also very, very, very important to not have hunger problems.
And then also we know that businesses or essential businesses still need to operate. But when we look at how schools operate, do you the schools in the area, is it closed? How are things being done? Do you have classes online for learners?
Yes, the fantastic thing about Orania is we've been innovating regarding schools long before COVID was even a thing. So we had one of our schools was already focused on distance learning, and the other one adapted very easily and very smoothly. What we did is we moved to an online platform where teachers and learners can connect via video conferencing, where the work that the students need to work through is available electronically. The books are being printed by Essential Services printer, and we need to keep our people learning. And this time it's very important to not put extra stress on people like school children, university students and so on. And Orania looked beyond the COVID pandemic, and we made it possible. We put down infrastructure, electronic infrastructure, to keep our people learning and to keep them active with that.
Now, we know that Orania is not a country not on its own, but South Africa, we are looking at positive cases for the COVID-19 pandemic at over 4,000. Do you have any positive cases here, and have you done screening and testing?
Regarding positive cases, I'm very proud and very happy to say that Orania have 0 COVID cases at this time. I think very important factor in that is the fact that we took responsibility early. Medically wise, we made sure that our medical personnel have the infrastructure that they need. We made sure that our citizens are responsible, doing the necessary steps to prevent them from getting the infection. And on that case, I'm very proud to say that we have 0 cases at this time. Regarding the Northern Cape, the biggest province in the country with only 17 cases, I think there's a good argument to make that the president should look at the Northern Cape and maybe downgrade it to level 2 or so. I think the Northern Cape is one of the provinces that actually have the opportunity to carry the country's economy through these trying times, and to the biggest, most widespread province with the smallest population. Look at Orania as a example for what we can do, the ways that we can stimulate the economy and get the Northern Cape working. I think on the right, responsible way, the Northern Cape can have a major impact on the economy of the country, and taking this through this trying time.
Okay, just lastly, we know that crime is a very serious issue in South Africa as a whole, and even we see even during this lockdown period. In terms of crime, have you experienced any crime related issues here?
Reginald, I'm very proud to say that Orania is working very, very well in this time. If we look at our people, they are voluntarily working with all the regulations that's in place regarding the virus. We have our own security measures in place. We have our people looking after Orania's safety and security. And it's very important for us to keep Orania safe. But we're also very proud to say there's no need to force our people, to follow the regulations. They're doing it voluntarily. They understand the responsibility. It is worrisome that the entire South African military is mobilized in the streets of South Africa, at the same level that we saw during the 80s, same level of military personnel. In Orania, we like to look at our citizens as people that can act responsibly. We don't want them to force. We don't want them, to be forced to do things. We want them to voluntarily follow rules. So we're not crushing down on them with the might of the military or something like that. We are encouraging them to work together and stay safe.
Well, thank you very much. Well, Blaine, that was the head of the Orania movement. You were straight on telling us that they are also under lockdown here in the White Afrikaner enclaved town of Orania, saying that children are getting online classes. The economy is struggling, but they are doing their bit to keep the economy going, admitting that it will take some time for them to get the economy back on its feet again and where they used to be, saying that they are worried that the South African National Defence Force is being deployed in the streets because people should not be forced or something should not be forced onto citizens, but they should do it voluntarily. So at 10 o'clock we'll get the sense of from residents here in this area. So we encourage people to stay tuned to the agenda, and we'll bring you the latest later on in the program.
100%, my friend. Thank you very much indeed for your reporting, and a happy Freedom Day to you. Reginald Witbooi, they're giving us a window into how people are observing Freedom Day today. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get you more news. Stay with us.